Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is Denise Salcedo. You're watching Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Today, it is April 12th, and we got a pretty interesting episode of NXT to go over here today. And the reason why it was interesting is because we had 3 championship matches, 2 of which turned out exactly the same with pretty much the exact same finish, which we'll talk about in just a second. And then the other was the Gauntlet match to determine the brand new NXT Tag Team Champions. And I had 2 predictions for how I thought they were going to go, and they ended up going with one of my predictions, so we'll talk about that in just a second. But before we get started here today, I want to welcome you guys all to the show. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys who tunes in. And before I get into the actual show, I do want to remind you guys all that this week, my schedule here on F4W Online is going to look a little different. I am here today to talk NXT. Tomorrow, I will be here to talk about AEW Dynamite, which is shaping up to be a pretty big show. We're going to get Minoru Suzuki, Samoa Joe. We're going to be getting Penta, CM Punk. Apparently, there's going to be an overrun on the show. I don't know how long the overrun is going to be, but it's happening. So it's looking like tomorrow's episode of Dynamite is going to be pretty interesting. So make sure you guys are here for that post show. I will not be here on Friday, though. So Friday, I will be on a plane ride over to San Antonio, Texas for Mission Pro Wrestling. So I will not be here on Friday. I will be watching the show probably from like the airport, but I will not be here for the post show. So in case those of you are like coming in and like, where the hell is Denise at? But let's go ahead and get into this show. We got our first super chat. Actually, this is from Pile Driver Finisher. Thank you so much to Pile Driver, who says, keep up the great work. Nice interview with Willow. I dropped back-to-back interviews today. One with Willow Nightingale, which, by the way, I decided to do it because everybody was like, we were just talking about her on Friday, and I was like, why? I should reach out to her and get an interview. We set it up, and she was so great to talk with. It's about a 40-minute interview, and if you guys really want to learn like so much more about who she is and what she's all about, definitely check out that interview. It was a good one. And then on top of that, I did an interview with Blake Christian. Blake Christian has been killing it, guys. On April 1st, he literally did 4 shows in one day with 4 of like the biggest promotions. He was with Impact, GCW, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, it was absolutely insane, and we talk about that in that interview. But thank you so much to Pile Driver Finisher for sending that in. All right, but let's kick things off with our first match of the day, and this was the NXT North American Championship match. It was Solo Sikoa going up against Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes, your champion, and this was a pretty good match, guys. Like, it started off with them kind of being toe-to-toe with one another. Nobody was really getting the best of anybody until there was this moment where Cameron Grimes kind of like pissed off Solo Sikoa and was like, your bloodline can kiss my grits. And after that, we ended up seeing Solo Sikoa get like a new level of aggression where he starts, just leveling up in this match and kind of getting the upper hand on Cameron Grimes. And this match is getting pretty damn good. Like, I was really getting into it. The crowd was really getting behind Solo Sikoa. Like, this kind of felt like, okay, the match was about to hit its peak. It was about to get really good. We see Solo Sikoa go to the top rope. Shit's about to go down. But instead, we had Trick Williams come out, and he ends up distracting Solo Sikoa. Sikoa gives him, I believe, I think it was a boot to the face. He gives him a boot to the face, and I'm thinking, okay, good. This is not going to ruin the match because we were going somewhere with this match. And so Solo Sikoa gets back in there, but This ends up allowing Cameron Grimes to get his win, and the distraction does end up essentially messing things up for Solo Sikoa. Cameron Grimes gets his win, and we get it. Like, we get why they're doing it. They're trying to protect Solo Sikoa. We get it. We get why they're doing the distraction finish. They're trying to protect Solo Sikoa while keeping the belt on Cameron Grimes, etc. I get all of that, but I really, 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 really hate it because it's done so much on so many matches. Two, we got that in another championship match here today that we're going to talk about, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. But we got that same finish in 2 matches here today. So that was a little bit like annoying, especially just because I was so much getting into this match with Solo Sikoa and Cameron Grimes. For it to sort of be ruined like this, I was a little bit bummed out. I'm not gonna lie, I was bummed out. Afterwards, we have Carmelo Hayes. He comes out. Trick Williams is already out there, and they end up jumping Cameron Grimes. And Solo Sikoa tries to help out Cameron Grimes, but also Trick Williams is there, and they just get the best of both Solo Sikoa and Cameron Grimes. In the end, you have Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams both attacking Cameron Grimes here. So chances are maybe we'll see some sort of tag team match next week or something. I don't know. But I just personally, I liked the post-match angle. Like, the post-match angle was good. Like, the beatdown and everything, that was perfectly fine. I love the attitude from Carmelo Hayes, and, you know, him coming in with not his lackey, because Trick Williams is not really like a lackey, but he's kind of like his, I don't know what you want to call him. He's his wingman, okay, whatever. But the point is, like, I loved all of the post-match stuff. I just really wish that we would have just gotten a definitive win where it's like we didn't need the Trick Williams coming in and essentially costing Solo Sikoa this match. I would have really preferred just to see Solo Sikoa lose, have a good match and lose, and have this post-match angle running afterwards. So for me, I kind of felt robbed. I felt robbed during this match, at least for the finish of this match, because aside from all of that, it was a decent matchup. It was a very decent matchup, and I was starting to get into it. But anyways, that's what we got for the opening of the night. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. Cadillac Carson says, if they were trying to protect Solo, they were as unsuccessful. Losing to a distraction doesn't cut it for me. That's the thing, guys. Like, they've done distractions finishes so much that it's so played out that at this point, let's just say that it does make sense to this story, right? Like, let's just say they're telling a story and it makes sense. At this point, distraction finishes are used so much that even if it were to make sense to the story, nobody cares anymore because they are done so much. So it really, really takes away from all of it. Cornell says Trick William is a lackey to me. Okay, I guess he's a lackey, guys. He's a lackey. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on from here, guys. After this, oh my God, I'm going to nitpick this segment here, guys. All right, here we go. I'm going to have to nitpick this one. So we had Braun Breaker coming out, and he comes out and he's cutting this promo and, you know, basically talking about the events that occurred last week on NXT, in which his father was literally tied up and put into a cage by 2 other men, by Joe Gacy and Harland, okay? His father, think about that. His father is literally put into a cage and tied up, okay? Braun Breaker comes out and it's like, well, I'm going to cut a promo and, you know, talk about the things that went down last week and how it's not cool. I'm like, what? Guys, whenever you involve like family members or anything like this, you should be more angry. I didn't like this. Braun Breaker, like from the start, they could have had something where like backstage Braun Breaker was like, you know, pissed off, like, you know, looking for Joe Gacy, looking for Harland. I'm freaking angry. Where the hell are these guys? He could have been out there, you know, yelling at somebody, you know, trying to get his hands on them. I don't know. He should have been more mad in this promo. I'm like, dude, your dad was locked up in a cage and you're not mad enough. So that was my big nitpick of this. I'm like, if you really want to sell this angle and really sell that you're angry, like, you should be pissed off, okay? Like, I would have been demanding answers, throwing shit around, trying to figure out what the hell, you know, I want my revenge, right? If someone puts their hands on your family member, you're going to want revenge. And I didn't get that from Braun Breaker in this segment. So I was very kind of just like, this, why? Put just a little bit more oomph in it. Just a little bit more oomph. That's all I want. Joe Gacy appears on the Tron. And he's basically in this like fire, right? And it's all dark and there's like flames and all of this. And he's talking about, what happened and about Braun Breaker's dad and this and that. And, talking about how he's got, more power, blah, 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 whatever, right? So he gets the Hall of Fame ring and he ends up throwing it into the fire, okay? I got to tell you, I felt, and this is not how it should be, Joe Gacy got more over to me in this segment than Braun Breaker did. Braun Breaker should have been more angry. Joe Gacy was like, I'm a savage, and here's your father's ring. It's going into the flames. And then afterwards, later on in the show, we go back to this. We go back to Joe Gacy out there in the flames, and he ends up pulling out like the burnt ring out of the fire and then placing it on his finger. I thought that was a little weird. Like, who's gonna want a burnt ring on their finger? But whatever. That seemed like it hurt like hell. But I liked it. I really liked the presentation of what they did with Joe Gacy here. And, him talking about how he's manipulated Braun Breaker and how Braun Breaker shouldn't be NXT champion because, he's easily manipulated. I love that. And I'm like, Joe Gacy should not be making more sense here than Braun Breaker. What the hell? So anyway, I just wish they would have just tweak that just a little bit more. And it would have been, A-okay. So thoughts on this, guys? Let's go ahead and see what people are doing. Cadillac Carson says Gacy was more over. Blasphemy, Denise. Blasphemy. Dude, Joe Gacy was making sense to me, man. Joe Gacy was making sense to me, and he was the appropriate amount of reaction that I needed from him, okay? So for once, I'm going to put over Joe Gacy, because usually poor Joe Gacy always ends up on the bad side of these reviews. But for once, I'm going to give kudos where kudos are deserved, and Joe Gacy deserves some kudos for today. Major Blood says, admittedly, this was a better promo than last week, but he really needs to be more pissed off. Maybe even just destroying everything in his path to get vengeance. Exactly, man. Exactly. We got people saying this is not the way you push Braun Breaker. Drew Scott says it's random, but I'm all for this feud. I mean, we've gotten a kidnapping and now arson. What could be next? Maybe assault with a deadly weapon. LOL. I agree. I like what they're, I'm okay with the direction that they're heading in, but if you're going to do it and you want me to buy into it, you need to put a little bit more like oomph into it, okay? Be a little bit more angry, all right? Like, let's be real. If anybody here watching the show was dealing with somebody that messed with their family, ooh, you bet your butts we'd all be pretty damn pissed off, okay? Like, I would not be playing no games here, okay? That's the way things work. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on from here, guys. And this is from Justin, who says, at least the Gacy character became more of a demented psychopath and less of a woke culture parody. He's more interesting this way. Yeah, he's not saying things anymore that don't really make sense. Like, when he first started doing this whole thing, every week I would come on here and be like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't understand what's going on. They've sort of steered away from that, and they're more now like he's just like a psychopath and, all of that. I agree with that. They do every now and then throw in a little bit of that like woke culture type of stuff, but for the most part, it hasn't like overly consumed the character of Joe Gacy like it first was in the beginning. So here we go. Thank you so much for sending that in. Thank you, Denise. You're speaking facts. It's what I'm here for, guys. It's what I'm here for. Isaac Looper says he needs to be like, I know you're trying to say Wardlow, but autocorrect and changed it to wardrobe, and I think that's hilarious. Destroying people. Exactly, guys. Exactly. Alrighty. From here on out, we go into, okay. So on paper, when I first saw that we were going to have Von Wagner versus Ike Manjiro, I was like, oh no. Why do I cover NXT on Tuesdays? Let's be real. That was crossing my mind. I got to tell you, I ended up loving this between Von Wagner and Ike Manjiro. And the reason why I loved it, because the reason that I loved it was Eichmann freaking Jiro, okay? The guy gets over with me, okay? Anyways, so okay. I liked this, and I'm going to explain why, okay? Now, So Von Wagner is supposed to have this match with Ike Manjiro, but he decides to attack him backstage when he doesn't expect it, right? He doesn't see it coming. He attacks the poor guy, okay? And I'm thinking, oh, good, now we don't got to watch this match, right? That's what I was thinking. So then he comes out, Von Wagner and Robert Stone, and they're talking about how, I forgot what the hell he said, but Ike Manjiro ends up coming out and it's like all broken down, battered and beaten. And he's like, I'm going to do this match. And I'm like, wow, Ike Manjiro coming out here with some heart, man. Like the man just got attacked. We don't got to have this match. But he comes out and he's like, I want this match. I'm going to do this match. And I'm thinking, okay, Von Wagner's going to go in there, big boot, and he's going to be done, right? Like bless Ike Manjiro's heart, right? That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Well, we ended up getting a little bit more than that. They gave Jiro a shit ton of offense that I was not expecting, given that he was attacked beforehand. He ends up coming out. Let me see. I wrote all of this down here. Okay, so he comes out. He manages to get an insecurity kick on Von Wagner. He lands several punches on him, but then he ends up getting killed with a clothesline. And I'm thinking, oh, that's it. After this clothesline, that's it. No, we continue with more. Von Wagner gets him with an elbow, gets him with a headbutt, and Jiro is still hanging on. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to end now. No, instead, Jiro gets more rights. He gets some knees to the face of Von Wagner. He super kicks Wagner. He does a swanton. He goes for the pin. It's a 1. Okay, cool. And I'm thinking at this point, holy shit, I cannot believe they're giving Jiro this much. On top of this, okay, so before this, I'm thinking this is making Von Wagner, by the way, look really bad. Like he attacked the man beforehand, and Von Wagner's supposed to be like this big buff guy, right? And he attacks the guy beforehand, and he comes into this match and is essentially kind of getting his ass whooped, by Ike Manjiro. So Von Wagner looked terrible in this, and I'm thinking, my God. But I still loved it because Ike Manjiro gets over with me. Anyway, so then after this, we get a big boot from Von Wagner, and Von Wagner ends up winning this match. Afterwards, we see him toss a Jiro into the crowd. But regardless, like I get they even replayed the spot where he throws Jiro into the crowd numerous times, and we're supposed to be like, oh, that's what our reaction's supposed to be. That was not my reaction, but that's the reaction we're supposed to have. I just thought to myself, man, I was into this match because I was rooting for Jiro. I wanted Ike Manjiro to defeat Von Wagner. But yeah, this was interesting though, because they made Von Wagner not look like Von Wagner's character. He's supposed to be like, this big dominant buff guy who's going to kick ass, especially Ike Manjiro, who's essentially kind of been treated like, not a top star on NXT 2.0. He's no Braun Breaker, right? So I'm like, this is interesting. It was interesting, but it ended up being fun, and I ended up liking it so much more than if it would have just been this like quick squash from Von Wagner. So while it didn't make Von Wagner look all that great, I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. But let's go ahead and see what we got here. Justin Martin says this made Kushida look bad. Jiro got more of a beating than him and still did the match while Kushida was nowhere to be seen. Well, he was not announced for the match, though. It was supposed to be Von Wagner and Ike Manjiro. But yeah, they have, blessed like Kushida, like he's freaking amazing, but they have not ever really utilized that. Like Kushida's a freaking badass and a star and has incredible matches, but they've boxed him up, guys. Like they've boxed him up, man. Major Blood says Kushida got literally thrown into the trash. Oh my God. Let's go ahead and see what we got here in terms of anything else that I might have missed. This is from Major Blood, who says Jiro has a lot of charisma. In my opinion, despite not really speaking English, I think that he speaks volumes, honestly. I really love Jiro. I think that he's just so much fun to watch, and I'm just a fan. Zeno Hour says Denise is slowly becoming a fan of Von Wagner. Bless his heart, bless his cotton socks. It's not happening just yet, guys. I don't throw out my I'm a fan star to just anybody, guys. Unfortunately, I'm still not sold I'm still not sold, but I get what the presentation of the character is supposed to be. Like when I say Von Wagner should be coming out here and like squashing people, that's because I get what they're trying to do, what he's supposed to be. It's just not happening. That's what I'm trying to get at here. All right, so let's go ahead and move on from this. After this, we got another segment that I also ended up loving. We got Nikita Lyons and her interview with Mackenzie Mitchell. And this was great. All right. This was great for one reason and one reason only. So Mackenzie asked her question to Nikita Lyons about her feud with Lash Legend, right? And I'm like, I'm so tuned out. I wasn't even paying attention. I was watching, but like I wasn't listening though. And so then out of nowhere, I just see this big old boot come to the face of Nikita Lyons, and that thing woke me up, man. And I'm like, this was great. Lash Legend just came in, gave her a terrible, like a really, really brutal boot to the face. And the shot of the boot was so phenomenal because it literally looked like it killed her. Looked like it killed the girl. It was great. I loved it. And then afterwards, Lash Legend yells at Mackenzie, and Mackenzie has like the what the frick just going on face. This was great. I loved it. It was a very short segment that could have been like a drag, and it ended up being really good because of that one big boot to the face and the great camera shot. So I ended up being a fan of this, guys. So yeah, I was a fan of this. Thumbs up on all of that. And let's see what else we got here. Zeno Hour says that segment produced an awesome GIF. It really did. I need to go and find it and like download it and like put it up there because that was really good, actually. Really, really good. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and we got people putting this over. I'm glad everybody enjoyed this. Hey, if we can get a funny GIF out of it, it's a win. Thumbs up. We're living in a digital media age where we all just want GIFs and memes. And that's how things get over these days. GIFs and memes. GIFs, GIFs, whatever. All right. So, after this, something that I'm kind of digging, guys. I'm digging this. I don't know where this is going. Well, I have an idea of where this is going, and I'm digging it. Tony D'Angelo and Santos Escobar. I'm liking this. They're sort of doing this, I don't know, tough guy, street guy thing where they're both bosses and, you know, they both represent and this and that. We saw a little confrontation from them. I think it was last week in the parking lot where everything happens. And Santos Escobar kind of gives them some advice to like stay out of his business now that he's the Don. And then today, Tony D'Angelo tries to buy off Santos by giving him an envelope filled with money. He doesn't even open it. I'm like, bro, at least open it. Like, see, like I could be bought. Open up the envelope. So he doesn't open up the envelope and basically shoves it back in his pocket and tells him that that's not how you earn, respect. I love that. I loved it. So I'm excited to see where they're going with this. I know they're gonna do like the two, like, street bosses. I don't know what the official name for that would be, but I'm liking this. I'm a fan. Pile Driver Fitter says it's mob versus cartel. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. That's where they're going, but it's fine. I like it. I'm excited for it. All right. And now, let's see. We got this comment from JD Varnell who says, just part of the continuing storyline back and forth between Lash and Nikita. Maybe it culminates with the last women's standing match between the two. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know how it's going to culminate, but like, I like that they're keeping it simple. They're keeping it simple with them, and I like that. All right, so now moving on from this here. After this, we got here we go. This is the big thing we need to talk about. So Cora Jade, she was unfortunately unsuccessful in winning the NXT Women's Championship, and we didn't see her last week. No, we didn't see her last week. So she's back here this week, and she's coming out there and she's cutting her babyface promo, and she's talking about how her parents were sitting in the second row, and they were watching her at NXT Stand and Deliver, and I thought it was hilarious when she said, "I'm working on them getting to the first row." It killed me because nobody, and I mean nobody, was judging that her parents were in the second row. Nobody was even thinking it. At least I know I was not thinking it. I was not judging her parents for being in the second row. And then she says, but I'm working on them getting to the first row. I'm not there yet. She killed me with that line. It popped me so freaking hard because I thought, bless your heart, Cora Jade, you did not have to throw that in there. It's okay that your parents are in the second row. Those are good seats. So I did think that was pretty funny. But anyway, she says that, she held her own in the match on Stand and Deliver, but that, unfortunately she didn't get the win. Life doesn't always work out the way that, you want it to work out, but that now she knows that because she came so close to becoming NXT Women's Championship, then now she needs to win the NXT Championship. And I'm thinking, all right, cool. This is a very good, babyface promo. Good for her. She's getting out there. She's getting comfortable in front of the mic, all of that good stuff, right? She starts going off about her notebook and how she wrote in her notebook when she was 8 years old about how she's going to become NXT Women's Champion, this and that, or excuse me, WWE Champion, this and that. She starts going off and naming women that she's a big fan of. She's like AJ Lee, Sasha Banks, Natalya. When she said Natalya, something in me was like, that's interesting. And then she rattled off a couple more names, right? But for some reason, immediately Natalya's name stood out to me. It stood out. And then afterwards, Natalya's music hits, and I'm like, I sensed it. I sensed that Natalya was going to come out. So Natalya comes out, and this was a very, so like completely honest with everybody, the booking for Natalya hasn't been that great, in WWE on the Raw and the SmackDown roster. Sorry, they've been floating back and forth, all of that good stuff. Anyways, so the booking for her hasn't necessarily been the greatest. At WrestleMania, I felt really bad because I felt bad because she didn't get a good reaction from the crowd, and there was like no reaction. And I just kept thinking like, damn, like Natalya deserves so much better. Like she should get a better reaction, from the crowd. And I just remember thinking that, and I think I even mentioned it on one of the Raw reviews, and it's literally been because of the booking of Natalya and Shayna. Even Shayna didn't get any reaction from the WrestleMania crowd. I was there. I heard nothing. So I was kind of just like thinking about that, So when Natalya came out today, and man, she got such a good reception from the crowd. Like it was so nice to see that for her because she came out and the crowd was like, oh my God, Natalya's here. And she had like such a big star reaction from the crowd. They even started chanting, holy shit. She's going out there and, touching, high-fiving people and this and that. She gets into the ring and I'm thinking like, okay, like where are we going with this? Like, obviously she's not just going to be here to give Cora Jade a pat on the back. So I wasn't expecting that, but I'm thinking, where are we going with this? So the second she gets into the ring, she's like, oh, it's really good to meet you, Cora, this and that. Cora Jade is absolutely fangirling over her. And Cora's going off about how she was such a big fan of Natalya and how she's always been such a big fan of Natalya. Natalya says that I guess she like DM'd her or something recently. And when she went in her DM, she found an old DM from Cora Jade from back in 2011. I don't know if this is true or not, if this is just part of the story. I don't know. Anyway, so she talks about that and I'm thinking like, okay, like this is really nice. But part of me, as she started getting emotional during this. And I'm thinking either this feels incredibly forced or she legitimately is emotional, or she's going to turn on Cora Jade. Then she proceeded to get more emotional, and I thought she's definitely turning on Cora Jade. Like, this is getting just a little too awkward now. Like, she's got to turn on Cora Jade, or this is just going to be weird. Weird. So then, Natalya ends up telling Cora Jade, like, you're going to be the future of NXT. But then she basically says something about her being the president, and she slaps her across the face, gets her in a sharpshooter, and Cora Jade is brokenhearted, and everybody's like, what? How could she do this to Cora Jade? Then we get a backstage segment where she basically walks in, and I loved it, by the way. I loved it because Natalya walks in, and she's got the very diva vibe, big hair, don't care. Loved it. She walks in, and she's looking very mean, and she's like, basically says that, the boat is here, and she puts all the NXT women on notice. Okay, great. And after this, I'm thinking like, oh, she's putting them on notice, which probably means that she's staying, but I'm not too entirely too sure. Then Wade basically kind of confirms that she pretty much is staying on commentary. So from the looks of it, Natalia is going to be joining the NXT roster. I don't know if she's going to be doing both if she's going to be doing both, the SmackDown and NXT. I don't know if she's going to be doing both or just NXT. That really wasn't clarified. So I don't know if she's going to be doing like a Dolph Ziggler thing or if she's going to be doing like a Mandy Rose thing where she just went to NXT and that was it. I don't know, but I do think though that this is a good opportunity for Natalia, mainly because that even like on the main roster, so many times you saw her being paired up with these girls to like help them, get better. So that she's the perfect person to put her in that position in the NXT to work with the girls and help them get better, because Natalia will help them get better in the ring. I think this is a really good use of what she can do, and also a way to maybe, reignite things for her a little bit, reignite her storytelling, kind of see what she can do without the perimeters that you get, without the restrictions that you're put upon on the main roster. So I'm excited for Natalia being put in this situation here on NXT. I think she's going to do good. I'm excited to see her work with Cora Jade and work with some of the other girls. I think this is a good use of Natalia here for NXT. So anyways, let's get some thoughts in here. How do you guys feel about Natalia appearing on NXT, etc.? Let's see what we got here. This is from Gary, who says, glad she's helping young talent. Agree. Justin Martin says, Cora Jade is like 21, so she sent that message when she was like 11 or 12. Yeah, I mean, that seems about right, guys. Like, when girls are at that age, or like when you're a kid at that age, like that's like the age where you'd probably send like a DM and be like, I'm such a big fan. Oh my God. Because you're like a kid, you're like a teenage, you're like a preteen or a teenager or whatever. So, I'm actually like, that was not a far-fetched story, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's not a far-fetched story here. And we got people particularly putting over Natalia and glad that she's there. Something says, I think she said you're the future of NXT, but the future is bleak before she slaps her. Thank you. I'm like, she said something along those lines, but I knew that she was just going to slap her across the face. Cornell says Cora Jade got a real education from Natty tonight. Major Blood says, honestly, NXT should have always had someone from the main roster do a stint on NXT, do some stuff, work with younger talent. Yeah, like, I love it. Like, I really, really do. I like, it depends on the person, right? Like when AJ Styles went down there, it was a little weird because you're like, ooh, this is below him, So I didn't feel like it really made sense to have AJ Styles do that. When we had Dolph Ziggler do it, I was like cool with it. I wasn't cool with him taking the title from Braun Breaker. That's a whole different story. But I was like, okay, fine, this could be cool for Dolph Ziggler. Matt Riddle was doing a couple of stuff with the MSK for a bit. That was fun. And I'm sure there was more. I'm just blanking on them right now. But anyway, so yeah. All right. So let's move on from this here, everybody. After this, let's see what we got. We got a really quick match between Draco Anthony and Zion Quinn. Zion Quinn wins. I don't really want to talk about it. After this, we got Persia and Indy backstage with Duke and Dexter and their whole booking, guys. It's been all over the place. I mean, last week was so bad that they had the CWC people chanting, this was stupid. So they definitely had to, I'm assuming, rework things, refigure things out. I don't know. But now from the looks of it, the girls have forced their men to team up together. So from the looks of it, Duke Hudson and Dexter Lumis are now going to be a team. And quite frankly, I think that's probably the best option for them. I really do think it's the best option for them. They need to do something. And I think this might work. I want to see them as a team. It's not a bad idea. So let's see how that all plays out there. All right, let's go ahead and jump into matches that were announced for WWE NXT next week. Natalya will be facing Tatum Paxley. So we all know how that's going to go. Sarai versus Tiffany Stratton. That's actually been a match in the making. It's just that they've kind of taken a break from it like the last week or so, but this has been like a thing. The whole thing started when Tiffany didn't like that Sarai rejected her necklace, and that's pretty much how that whole thing got started. After this, let's get into the gauntlet, everybody. So this was the last and final thing that occurred on the show. I love this gauntlet. I thought this gauntlet was really darn good. But let me start off by saying something. I can't believe that they brought back the spinning wheel thing. Forgot what it's called. The little thing, the little gold thing where they spin and the little balls come out. I cannot believe it. Every year, I put out the same damn tweet around the Royal Rumble. I tweet, bring this back for the Royal freaking Rumble. Every year. It's my gimmick. It's what I do. And never do they bring it back. But then on a random Tuesday, April 12th, I'm sitting here chillaxing, watching NXT, and for the gauntlet match, they bring it back. I'm like, what? I've been asking for this for the Royal Rumble for ever. To bring it back. And they didn't. And then they just randomly brought it out for this. I thought, what? Y'all trolling me now. You're trolling me. But anyway, so that was a troll job if there ever was one. But anyways, I loved this gauntlet. My prediction heading into this was it's either going to be the Creed brothers because, they've been, they're the team that we've started to see develop. We know that they're going to eventually become champions someday. So I'm like, okay, they're either going to pull the plug and go with Creed brothers. Cool. Or they're going to directly go with Pretty Deadly. Given that Pretty Deadly just, made their reveal on last week's NXT that they'd been the team that was attacking Creed brothers, etc. I figured, okay, this is going to be their first match, here. So might as well have them win the match, like make them this like dominant team right off the bat. So my options were, okay, they're either going to go with Creed brothers or Pretty Deadly. And once I saw the way this match was going, I knew it was going to be Pretty Deadly. So anyways, it kicked off with Creed Brothers versus Galo del Fantasma. This was really good. This was a really good start. This was really just the Creed Brothers showing off their power, their strength, and Galo del Fantasma basically showing off their agility. So that was really fun. I like, even though I would really like Legado del Fantasma to someday be tag team champions, I don't think it's happening, but they're a really good team regardless. Creed Brothers get the win. They advance. Good start. Then we get Creed Brothers versus Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. Now, I loved this one too, and the reason why I loved it was because I thought it was kind of well played in the sense that you had Briggs and Jensen ended up putting Brutus through the commentary table. So for a good portion of this match, it was essentially just Julius there fending for himself. It ended up being a 2-on-1 attack for a good majority of this match. And I'm thinking they're going to finish him off and that's it. That's how they basically, explain the Creed brothers getting eliminated from this gauntlet, right? But after this, we finally see Brutus rejoin Julius and help him out. And so it turns back into your, no longer 2-on-1, but a 2-on-2. And then after this, we end up seeing Brutus hit his clothesline onto, I forgot it was Briggs or Jensen, but he hits the clothesline on them and gets the win. I freaking loved it because just when I legitimately bought into the fact that they were going to be counted out and that's it. I'm like, okay, they're going to give, toss a bone to Briggs and Jensen. So I thought they did a good job at making me think that the Creed brothers weren't going to advance in this tournament here. So they did a good job of that. So I liked that too. Then from here on, we went to Creed Brothers versus Sanga and Grayson Waller. And I thought, I swear to God, if they have Grayson Waller and Sanga freaking eliminate Creed Brothers here, I'm going to riot. Man. But anyways, this ended up being, again, very quick, easy. Sanga goes in, hits a big, massive boot onto Julius. Brutus, literally even manages to lift up Sanga, which was really cool because you get to see his strength. Julius hits his clothesline once again and gets the win for his team. And then once I saw that Pretty Deadly was the last and final team, I thought, all right, that's it. Pretty Deadly is definitely winning this match. You know, they told the story, they put over the Creed brothers, they made it this far, they're tired, they've been through hell and back, and so, you know, they can't, they're not fully at 100%, so Pretty Deadly is going to win. It's the exact same booking we've seen for like pretty much every single damn Gauntlet match that we've ever seen in WWE. Like, they do this a lot. So it was pretty expected that this was going to be the finish here. So Pretty Deadly does end up winning. They look great. They got great charisma. Their fashion is great too. Screw it. I love their fashion, even though they look like they honestly looked, and this is going to sound really weird, but they look like sexy Easter eggs today. That's the best way that I can describe their look for today. Sexy Easter eggs. Don't believe me? Go back and look. So anyways, Pretty Deadly are now the new NXT Tag Team Champions, and I like it. This is a good start. Puts them here on the map for, you know, NXT. They're former NXT UK champions, so I feel like it's pretty, you know, it's not too far-fetched that, hey, you know what? They're NXT champions now, and they're good. So I like this. I thought the Gauntlet was definitely a win. Cadillac Carson sends in a super chat saying, hey, Denise, I think you missed the women's title match unless you're saving it for last. What did I miss? What did I miss? Did I forget to write something down? Somebody let me know what I forgot, because I'm blanking right now for like a quick second. Oh, someone says I forgot the Dakota Kai Mandy Rose match. Shit, I totally forgot that match. Did I not write anything down for that? Oh no, I totally skipped it. Sorry guys, I completely skipped it. I'm like, what did I forget? Oh man. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for reminding me about this. I completely skipped it because I got distracted by something else. I don't know what I got distracted by. All right, thank you so much for reminding me. Dakota Kai versus Mandy Rose for the NXT Women's Championship match. Because I wanted to go off and talk about this too. Okay, so this is interesting too, because Dakota Kai was Raquel Gonzalez is gone. They were tag team champions. They took the tag team championships off of them. It was super random, but now we know why, because Raquel Gonzalez, who's now Raquel Rodriguez, is over on the Smackdown brand. And so she's gone now. And Dakota Kai, I'm thinking like, man, this girl cannot catch a break, man. I've come on here. I sound like a broken record. This girl should be on the main roster. I don't know why she's not there, but she should be there. And she kind of got screwed out of another tag team run with the titles with her best friend Raquel Gonzalez. She got screwed out of that again. So I'm watching this and I'm thinking like, okay, they're either going to make Dakota Kai champion, or she's just going to lose and that's it, you know? Well, this ended up just kind of being the exact same thing that they did with Solo Sikoa and Cameron Grimes. It pretty much had the exact same finish. So first of all, the crowd was 50-50 on this. You had half people going for Dakota, half the people going for Mandy Rose, etc. Dakota Kai was freaking awesome in this match. Some of my favorite moments were her doing that crossbody to the outside on Mandy and Gigi. Then she hit Mandy Rose with the, you know, double knees, a boot to the face, all of that. You know, she gets all her strikes in. Love that. JC Jane ends up getting involved. This causes Dakota Kai to get distracted and lose this match. So I'm thinking the exact same story that we saw play out at the top of this match, the NXT North American Championship match. So I was bummed out, because I'm like, all right, well, we already saw this. Why am I seeing it again? Post-match, Wendy Chu comes out and she has her super soakers, her little guns, and she's squirting people, and that happens. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what's going to happen with Dakota Kai. I don't know if this means that she's, you know, eventually going to go to the main roster, or if she's just going to continue to float around on the NXT roster. I do not know. But I feel like I just feel like they need to do something. They need to, if she doesn't go to the main roster after this, I really hope that they do give her like a clear-cut storyline, a clear-cut feud, because it just really feels like they're trying to find something for her. And they finally, you know, reunited her with Raquel, and then quickly took that away. So it's like, it's super weird, guys. Man. All right, let's see what we got here, guys. This is from Christopher, who says Dakota Kai and Raquel Rodriguez should be a tag team again on the main roster and win the tag titles and have a long reign. I don't think so. I think that Raquel is going to be doing her own thing. She's she is somebody that is a dominant type of female. So I think that they can tell really good stories with her. And there's a spot to fill right now for that. There's nobody like Raquel on the women's roster, on the women's main roster. So I feel like if you were to put her in a tag team, I think it would kind of hold her back from shining on her own. And Dakota Kai, if she were to go to the main roster, she could do her own thing too. Like, she doesn't need to be in a tag team. So I don't necessarily think that they need to be in a tag team there. But pretty much we got people basically saying the same thing. Call up Dakota Kai. Yeah. YT says, I really like Dakota Kai and Wendy Chu, but I have no idea where they're going with this. Exactly. Like, they were doing just fine with Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai. They were getting over as a team. They're very different personalities. They're very different characters. They're the odd couple. It was working. But then, things got moved around last minute. They inputted Raquel into that picture, and then it didn't mean anything in the end. So I don't know what to tell you guys. Didn't mean anything in the end. And let's go ahead and see what else we got. This is from Justin, who says, I feel bad for Dakota. She deserved her championship moment for a long time. I hope she gets it one day. Yep. I think so too. Yeah, that's already 2 times that she's been essentially screwed out of, having a proper run as an NXT tag team champion. So there's that. Alrighty, everybody. Now I officially covered everything on the show. Thank you guys so much for having my back here on the chat. When you guys were like, you skipped a match, I was like, which one? What was it? I couldn't remember for the life of me what it was. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming in here each and every single week to chat NXT with me. As always, I have a grand old time. Please make sure to come back tomorrow. We got a jam-packed, a stacked, loaded, whatever else you want to call it, but baked potato filled. I'm trying to think of new words. A baked potato filled episode of Dynamite. There you go. Come back tomorrow for AEW Dynamite. I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.